Hello everyone! It has been a hot minute since I have got on here and filmed a Flosstube. A lot has happened. It's been about a month. I have quite a bit of stitching, but maybe not as much as you would expect for being gone a month. Just so much has happened. I sort of expected this though. June and July are really busy for me, both at work and personally. So it's probably going to be about another month before I have another update after this one as well. But yeah, so I am going to go over the stitching. I went to Stitchcon weekend A, so I will go over my Stitchcon experience. I'm not going to do like a full play-by-play or every single thing that I got at Stitchcon, just because I think some other people have already done that way better than I could, so I'm not going to do that. But I definitely want to at least mention like my table mates and some of the amazing people I met, and just go over my experience in that way. That's going to replace like my shout out section for this video. I have 4 books that were worth mentioning. I'm not going to do any other crafts. I do have a tad bit of haul, just with what I got at Stitchcon, but I was halfway decent, so I didn't, I don't have like a big pile or anything. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started, because this may still be a long one despite me trying to condense everything. So let's get started with FFOs. I do actually have one. This you haven't seen before at all on my channel. It is Bring Me Her Heart by the Black Needle Society. This came entirely as a kit in the Novels and Needles special edition Black Needle Society box, and it included a class with Lois of Lady Dot Creates. It was supposed to be like a month ago, but there was a shipping delay with the box because of one of the vendors. So the class ended up being the next Saturday, like the Saturday before Father's Day, Sunday. But it was good. I think it was like a couple hours, which is really all that you needed. We also got a PDF with all the instructions ahead of time and what you needed to have to prepare, and then we went through all of the steps together, and she also provided us, just based on our discussion in the Zoom call, another like guide on pom-pom trim. So this is actually chenille trim. I'll hold it up just a little bit closer. Again, this pattern is Bring Me Her Heart by the Black Needle Society. It's stitched on 32 count vintage country Mocha linen. It's stitched with Weeks Dye Works flosses as called for. And then this is a Lady Dot Creates chenille trim. I'm not sure on the color. And then we learned how to not only do like the circular finish, but attach on the back a little pocket, which this came in the box as well. It's a mirror. It's a mirror holder. My blanket stitch is atrocious. Stitching through this felt was god-awful. But, you know, that's the back. My front looks so good. I learned so many one big tip, which is don't be lazy whenever you're making the circular finish. So just to share this tip, if you have any experience with making a circular finish, I was taking too big of chunks in my, what do you call those? It's not, kind of a basting stitch before you pull it really tight to cinch everything together on the back. Oops. If you take smaller chunks, so what you do is you put your back piece on so you'll have like your stitched piece with the extra fabric coming over the back, and then you go through with a needle and go all the way around it and then pull it really, really tight. I'm really condensing here, but that's essentially the step. I was taking too big of pieces in each of those stitch, and so then whenever you pulled it really tight, it would allow the sides to crinkle a little bit and not get you a really perfect circular edge. So that was the biggest takeaway for me, is don't be lazy. Which is difficult. Especially because the finishing is not my forte. I would much rather be stitching. So the finishing is more oops, I got a thread on it. It's more to get it done with so that I can display it. I don't really enjoy the finishing. But it's done. It looks really good. This is definitely my best circular finish to date. I also learned, as Lois says, chenille can hide all sins. so yeah. I've never used chenille before, but it was really easy. So I'll probably be doing that again, because she's right. It does hide a multitude of sins. Next, that was my only FFO, but I do have one small finish, which is next. I hadn't really planned on stitching anything for the Marjorie Maid's Strawberry Moon Sow, but Mama Witch X Stitch came out with this little guy. So this is a piece of her Strawberry Possum's larger pattern, and this is the mini version. So this guy was only it was less than 50 by 50, 795 stitches. But how precious is that? So yeah, I think that this little guy was interrupted rudely by when he's trying to eat his strawberry. Yeah, so this was such a tiny pattern. I did it on 14 count. This is a DMC printed Aida in the color Dew. It's white on the back and then lightly printed on the front. Like I said, it's really tiny. I think this pattern was less than $1. I think it was 65 cents, something like that. She has a lot of sales on her Etsy for percentages off, so it was not much whatsoever. And it was just the perfect little possum having a strawberry. That was my only finish, but I'll segue. Try to figure out how to organize my stuff here. I'll segue into a finished another part. So everyone and their mother has been stitching, including myself, has been stitching the Deadly Aquarium by Lilla Crow Cross Stitch. Yesterday she just released, sorry, this is Sunday. On this previous Friday she just released Exhibit 5. I am done up through Exhibit 2. So I am behind, but you know what? This is quite a bit of stitching and it looks good. I'll take it. So I'll pop up a photo of what it is supposed to look like up through where we're at now, up through to Exhibit 5. I'll pop up a photo of where it was last time, and I have done a ton of stitching since then. And here is where we're at now. So yeah, everything that is in this section down here, all new. I didn't even have the frame completely finished last time you saw it, but yeah. The second part took me quite a bit because I actually stitched this little puffer fish up high. I don't know, just maybe like 4 or 5 stitches too high. But she has said that there's something else that's in between these blanks in the kelp. So I know that, I mean, with a mystery stitch along, especially where you can't be sure that there's not going to be something else in that area, I can't fudge. So I ended up having to unpick the whole little pufferfish, put him back, which of course after you unpick and put it back, I didn't end up finishing the kelp because I was like, I gotta take a break. I'm mad at it. I gotta give it a minute. But yeah, I'll get you in closer. I can't be sure you're centered, but maybe you can see a little closer. I love this so much. It is just so much fun, and seeing what's coming next. It's just quite a bit of stitching. This needleminder is a classic Disney pin from 2008 that I turned into a needleminder, so it was when the original Pirates of the Caribbean came out. And this is 36 count Lagoon linen by Fiber on a Whim. I also get kind of bored stitching on that. I mean, it is so much fun, but like just stitching on the same project, it gets a little boring for me. So in between each of the parts, I have to stitch on other things. So I do have some other projects to show you. For whips, let's see. Here's one that you haven't heard in a while. I completed a whip go-goal. And I also figured I would start showing some of the project bags that I've made, because Hillary in her Flosstube, her last, well actually it was her whip parade, but she sounded really upset at herself on her sewing skills, and I just want her to know that I can't sew either. So please don't, if it's functional, I think it's good enough. So yeah, here's one for you. She showed like a knot of fabric, a knot of thread, and I will show you where I can't sew a straight line, so I had to sew back over it again. But you know what, like I said, it is functional, and I got to use fabric I like. I mean, it is really cute. So yeah, this, if you couldn't tell, is my long dog sampler. This is Templar Prophecy. I'm stitching this on 18 count Aida that I coffee and tea dyed myself. It just started out as white. I will pop up a photo of where I was last time. And then I will take off the scribe guard so you can see where I'm at now. I did right at 1,000 stitches on this. I was really trying to fill in this big chunk of border. Of course it gets really boring, so I did start coming over here a little bit, and then I started on the dragon's, I think it's his foot. So the first like interesting part, the border, I mean, it's fun. It's not repetitive enough that it's that boring, the border, but at the same time there's not like cute little animal motifs and interesting things to see, which I think is one of the coolest things about long dogs, that until you're stitching them, you don't notice all of the little details. And so there's always like just little interesting things to find that I've seen so many people like point out and like, oh, I was stitching this and saw this and pointed it out, and I love that. But I wasn't getting any of that on the border, so I started on the dragon. The floss that I'm stitching is Old World Co. by Stitchy Stuff Co. Old World by Stitchy Stuff Co. And I love the way that stitches up. I'm not doing anything special to make it flow in any sort of way. I'm just stitching as I will, and it seems to be working out quite well. Okay. Do I have any other actual whips? Yes, I did. Okay. That was for my June Whip Go, one of my June Whip Go calls. And it was also for June Dog, which is hosted by the Crow Stitcher. Next, I finally got some work on Light by Barbara Anna. This is a freebie pattern. This was for Stitches and Spooky's 40th birthday, so it was Foxy 40 Sal. And I got like 500 or 600 stitches. Let me see if I can have a... So I'll pop up a photo of where it was last time, but I think I had like 200 stitches last time. And then here is where we are now. So I've got the tail bit almost done. There's a little bit of fill in on the tail. Let's see. So I got almost 600 stitches on this since the last time you saw it. Oh, I was nowhere near 200 stitches. I think I had like 2 or 3 stitches on this, if I even showed it to you last time. So this may have been completely new for you. This is stitched on 32 count, I believe it's Succulent Lugana by Color and Cotton. Let me see if I can make sure. Yeah, Succulent Lugana by Color and Cotton. It's the next one I'm going to show you that was at a couple hundred stitches previously. So, print out. Yes. So this is Got the Morbs by Modern Folk Embroidery. This just cracked me up. I had to do it. So if you're unaware, Got the Morbs is Victorian slang for a feeling of melancholy. Love it. Love it. So for this one, I will pop up a photo of where it was last time while I take this out of my little hoop. So yeah, I had a couple hundred stitches, and here is where we are now. So I have the center block completely outlined. Some of the words. I think I have the, yeah, I have the and orbs. This is stitched on 32 count, I believe it is Hot Cocoa linen by BeStitchMe. And it is with a Color and Cotton thread mist dye. So they occasionally will sell thread mist dyes on their website, and so I got this one, which is green to like a grayish brown. The needleminder that was on this one is a cowboy hat raccoon, because why not? This was a pin that I turned into a needleminder myself. So that one was stitched for Jacob June. I believe that's hosted by Bendy Stitchy and the Chinook Crafter. And I think what's left is going to be new starts. So at Stitchcon, we of course all enabled each other heavily. So I ended up starting, well actually I kind of was the enabler on this one. Hillary of Subpar Stitches mentioned that she had got this pattern, and I saw it and was like, oh, I've been thinking about that one. She was showing Tara of Little Woman Crafts, who was also like, oh yeah, that's so good. And I was like, you want to sell that? So yeah, so we are hosting the hashtag Beach Rat Sal by the Artsy Housewife. I really don't like beaches. I don't like the sand. I'm so pale and burn. I don't like the sun. So I'm not a big beach fan. What I do like is seagulls because it's just hilarious. And it's true. They are sort of like the rats of, beaches. If there was one that was pigeons that said sky rat, I would love that too. Yeah, so mine is not going to look too much like I completely changed the fabric. So I'm doing mine on 32 count April Showers linen by BeStitchMe. I'm using pretty much the called for colors though, because I think they all look good on this fabric. Yeah, that's a little better. It is a vibrant blue, but it's also mixed with white. So it looks like reminds me of a beachy summer day. So yeah, that's Beach Rat. I don't have that much done on this, just because everything else, but I did get it started. And also this needleminder was made and given out at Stitchcon by Hannah of Hannah's Stitching. She also goes by the MN Stitcher on Instagram. She's from Minnesota. Alrighty. Next is one that I have mentioned before as meaning to start, so this is not a shock, but I had been meaning to start the Nostalgic Tarot by the Witchy Stitcher. It is currently being released on her Patreon, but I did just see that she has released the first 2 cards on her Etsy. So she is starting to release these. They're just on maybe a 6-month wait after they come out. But I believe that this frame is free. So if you want to do them all, I believe the frame is free. It's just the cards that go in it that you'll have to pay for. I'm nowhere near the cards. This is new, so there's not one of where it was last time. But here is where we are now. I have part of an R in that top part that says tarot. Let's see. I mean, that's so little, but yeah. Yep, that's where we're at. This Mothman needleminder that says Spread Your Wings is from Rebel Stitcher Designs. That was one of my purchases at Stitchcon. This is stitched on 20 count black aida with the called for DMCs. Other than, I did make one change. All of the card outlines in this board have like 5 stitches of each color all the way around to give you that rainbow effect, and I said no. So I got Bradley's Balloons by Threadworks, which was recommended to me by Jessie of Jessie Marie Does Stuff, and I pulled it out, looked at all the colors compared to the rest of the colors in the pattern, and I believe that the greens are a little bit more, the green in Bradley's Balloon is more like neon-y green than anything that I could find in DMC. I did sub one of the greens if I need to, like I pulled out another color in case I need to sub anything when I get to that point to sort of match it a little bit better, but I couldn't find an exact DMC match that wasn't one of the metallics. Like one of the metallics is like a fluorescent neon green, but then that's not going to match the cotton thread of everything else. So I think it's going to look just fine, and it is going to save me a lot of headache. So that's what we're going to do when I get that far. And if you're looking for like a perfect Lisa Frank type rainbow thread, Bradley's Balloons by Threadworks. And it was like $5 for a giant, I think like 20 yards. So it's not expensive either. I think that is everything that I worked on. So I'm going to do plans to show you what I should be working on. So first, there was another Stitchcon SAL that I got enabled into, and that is the Pray For Me SAL, which is hosted by the Hathaway Stitchers, Erin and Amity, and Hilarious Subpar Stitches. The ones that I had saw didn't really look like something that I would want, but there was one that I had missed, and that is Pray For Me, I'm Bitter. And it has lemons and salt shakers on it. It's also like 89 by 87 or something. I mean, it's less than 100 by 100. I think it's less than 2,000 stitches. So I picked that up. I did buy that as a PDF just because it was available, and I really am not. If I can get a PDF, I'm gonna get a PDF. So I got that from the Artsy Housewife. Not the Artsy Housewife. That was Beach Rat. Sorry. Lucy Beam Love and Stitches, but still PDF. And I did change the colors, so don't mind me, but we're gonna hold it up like this because this goes into haul anyway. I'm doing this again on the April showers because I already had that pulled out for Beach Rat, so I started getting my colors to match this. Forbidden Fiber Co. had a trunk show with their flosses there. So I did do a mostly Forbidden Fiber Co. with one color in cotton because I knew I had this yellow at home to match these. So I have everything ready. I have the center marked, and I even have, I'm gonna start with the letters, so I even have the blue ready to go. So I will start this and participate in that SAL. never got around to actually putting any stitches in. And yeah, I will talk about that. This big metal thing in a minute. It's already in there so perfectly, I was gonna leave it. For additional plans, WIPGO, I'm so behind, but you know what? It is what it is. Most of the things I'm behind on are gifts, and that's probably part of the reason why I'm behind, is because they don't really have deadlines, and I'm stitching them for someone, so they're not necessarily the most like exciting for me. Like, yes, they make me happy because they make me think of the person that I'm stitching them for, but I don't have the same like drive and motivation to get them done as I do when I'm stitching for something for myself. I mean, if I had a deadline for a birthday or something, that would honestly probably help, but where I don't want them to be under any expectations of when they're gonna get these, so I don't know what to tell you. I'll work on it. But my 2 calls for July were Rivendell by Country Magic Stitch, so I will pop up a photo of what it's gonna look like, and I will pop up a photo of where it was last time. And actually, what am I doing? I'll show you what it looks like now for when I come back to show you what it looks like. So this is the top. There we go. This is stitched on, I'm not sure if this is 25 or 28. I think it's 25 count. Easy count, easy guide, whatever. Lugana by Zweigart. I'm doing this, they have color, like it's a pretty color blocked pattern, so I'm doing it by color block, even though it is full coverage. I'm doing this 2/1. No, I take that back. It looks like this is 1/1 full cross. Yeah, I think that this was one that I started that way. So I'm not really a full coverage stitcher. This is pretty new to me. So I have this, and I have a Glitch Stitch AU Stardy Valley pattern that I did that one 2/1 tent. Going forward, I will probably stick with 2/1 tent because it just goes so much faster, and I don't really think you can tell a difference. I may even switch this to 2/1 tent. So, yeah. That's what I got now. My goal will be 1,000 stitches if I do it full cross, 2,000 stitches if I do it tent, which is half cross. Yet another point in the switching this to tent stitch. I probably will. I have a thread dangling on the back here. I might finish that in the full cross because it's already 1 strand, but then switch to 2/1 tent. I will get back to you. But what is so nice about this one is I participated in a stitch swap. It's organized and hosted by Link Is My Homeboy, and this one was Bookish Besties stitch swap. So it was book themed, and you answer a questionnaire on what, like your books, favorite authors, favorite genres, anything like that, to just give your stitch partner some options to choose from. I got the best package. So this is a handmade project bag by A.A. Rosen. I think I said that right. I'm sorry if I did not. It has, and I believe this is 20 count Aida, but it has this stitched piece, this stitched piece, and oh, but wait, there's more. I also got this needleminder that was made from a pin that was included. And inside the project bag is a notions pouch with this stitched piece. And also a needle book inside the notions pouch. It's Stitch Swap Inception. So yeah, look, just the care and generosity, and it's just absolutely amazing. It was so much fun to receive. And I think also thread snips. Yeah. But yeah, this was such a good package to receive, and just pulling it out makes me smile at how wonderful the community is. And I happen to have the perfect project for it, so with Rivendell. I have more of these Country Magic Stitch patterns. I'm not going to start more than one at once, but I have quite a few of the Lord of the Rings ones. I have some of the Harry Potter ones. There's some Skyrim ones. I have a couple of those. But yeah, if you really like that style of fictional places and look like a travel poster or something, check out Country Magic Stitch. I love them. And my other WhipGo project was Satsuma Street. So I left it open because everything that I had started by Satsuma Street were, and still are, ornaments. So I didn't know what I would have done when it got called. So it's not a specific piece. It was just something by Satsuma Street, because I have so much. I have 4 patterns currently started, but they all are ornaments. And I'm not sure. I'm fairly confident that I'm at least going to work on this one. So this is Dear Santa. I'll show you where I'm at now. Excuse the hanging thread. That's where we're at. And I think because it is July, I'll probably go ahead and work on this one for Christmas in July as well, since it fits that theme. This is another project bag that I made, and I'm currently having zipper issues because I stitched the zipper band too close to the zipper. Yeah, but super cute Christmas project bag. So yeah, I'll probably work on that one. But I also went ahead and pulled out my other 3, which are Halloween. So let's start with this one because it's the biggest. Oh God. Okay. So this is Till Death by Satsuma Street. This was a kit, and it includes both of these, everything you need to do both of these. And people are not kidding when they say that patterns can stick to your the vinyl in your vinyl foam project bags. I don't know if you can see that. You can't really tell. But there's like a big sort of sticky patch on this from where the vinyl stuck. The others is no big deal because I've left them in the plastic. But that one stuck. So the plastics might stick together, like the vinyl and this plastic might stick, but nothing's going to transfer. So just, be mindful. That's why I usually actually make working copies to stick in the project bags, because if those stick, I don't really care. I can just print off a new one or what have you. Most of them I print off the cover photos to have something to show you or just remind me of what the project is, not necessarily to work from, because I'm going to work from a digital pattern. But anyway, so the other one is Miss Witch, and that's all I've got done on that one. And then Nevermore, which you have seen relatively recently for Wicked Cat Stitch's Murder May. So I do have more done on that one. So I'm definitely going to work on the Dear Santa. I would love to then switch over to these depending on time and sort of just what I feel like. The one that's closest to a finish is going to be Nevermore, but the one that I would like to get finished the soonest is going to be Till Death, because it is a paper pattern. I recharted the others just really quickly in Stitch Fiddle, and I'm working on those, but there's 4 different pieces. Actually, maybe even be more than that, but each of those skulls has, like, one has a little top hat and one has a little veil, and I mean they have like little accessories, and you stitch them all on the perforated paper, cut them out, and then you attach them. So it was just kind of a pain to rechart that one, so I am actually working from the paper pattern. So I'd like to get that one done because I just don't like paper patterns. But another project bag made by me. Yep. And I have a real issue going over the corners without the foot having a hard time coming back, and like it gets stuck because the corner gets pretty thick. And so I have little lines like that because that was easier to not. But yeah, I'm not making these for profit, man. I'm making these for myself, so thought I would share so that no one else would feel inadequate. Please don't. I think that's all the stitching. I still have haul I want to show you and talk about. Well, let's do that first. I participated in the Stitchcon Smalls Exchange. So I made a pattern that was in a Just Cross Stitch magazine. I don't know if it was February of like 2021, 22, something like that. I will have that down below if I can figure out which magazine it was from, but it was from a magazine. I did a color. It was something Coffee House Love, I think was what the set was called. I'll try to find so I'm fairly confident I can't find a photo because I've looked in the past to link this. I don't know if it was ever released outside of the magazine, maybe under a different name, and that's why I can't find it. But it's by Franny Ritter Designs, and like I said, it was called Coffee House Love. I specifically did one that said, "You are tea-rific," but I made quite a few modifications. So in the teacup in the pattern that I did was called for to be in like an ombre shade of, I believe, pink. But one of the other patterns had an ombre shade of tealy greens. So I took that, converted it over to the pink so that, to replace the pink, so that it was more, you know, because you didn't know who was going to get your piece, right? So not everyone's a pink fan. So I did that, and I also, it had I love you on the pattern. I took out the I and the U and just left a little heart in the teacup, and then it says you are terrific. I also left off the checkered border because I just didn't feel like it was necessary. I finished it as a flat fold using Vonna Pfeiffer's tutorial. It was only my second flat fold ever, but I was super thrilled with it. The corners were so crisp. I'll pop up a photo. I will also pop up a photo of the person that received mine. I cannot find her anywhere. which is very unfortunate. She did take a photo of my name badge though, so I really hope that she reaches out to me so that I can tag her and also follow her. But I'm really bad with names, and I didn't just want to... Now, who are you again? So, but please reach out to me if you're watching this. I'm also going to post that photo on Instagram and see if anyone can help me find her. But she really loved it. One of my table mates was watching the exchange and said that they saw, because we knew what each other had, because we knew, like, we didn't want to choose each other's gifts, right? We wanted, most of us weren't even in the same exchange, but they knew what mine looked like. I had put it in a tea tin because it was like vintagey looking, but actual vintage tea tins were very expensive, and I didn't know if someone, well, not very, but like, unless I knew for sure this person would want to keep a vintage tea tin, I didn't want to spend like $60 on an actual vintage tea tin. But I got one that was vintagey looking, but I wanted to make sure that whoever did get it liked tea, because I put in an assortment of teas. I had a thread bed, a ort catcher, the gift itself. I feel like I put something else in small, but to that effect, and it was all in a tea tin. But they said that they saw her talking to her table about how amazing it was, and without me present, so you know, it was honest, and that made my day. Like, there's nothing better than having someone appreciate something that you spent time making. So yeah, just made me so happy, and that's why I really want to find out, you know, who they are online, so that, you know, I can look at more of some of the work that she's done too. And then what I received, I got a package by Holly of Stitchy Pros. So this is what I received. This is a book sleeve, and I got the morbs in here actually, because I'm taking this to work. This is a book sleeve by Love You More Studios, and this is just stunning. This is a project folder. She said her mom makes this. Her mom finishes things professionally, so it's professional quality. This is Cheshire Cat from the Alice in Wonderland series by Brooks Books, which is stunning. It's stitched on 40 count. The back stitch on that, like, just look how beautiful. Yeah. Oh, I couldn't believe it. Like, my jaw just dropped. Everyone at my table's like, oh, it's so good. And then on the inside, like I said, it is a full project folder. So I did add these scissors myself, but she included the ring and the thread jewelry to either attach threads or scissors. I did scissors. She included these two needle minders. And then, yeah, this is a zipper pocket here. And this is felt for a thread bed. Well, batting to make a thread bed. So your thread stick. It's so good. I was very appreciative, very shocked, but yeah, absolutely stunning. I mean, there were such a huge variety of projects in the exchanges, and honestly, I feel like some people go a bit overboard, and I kind of wish they wouldn't. Because if you're the person that gets that, that's wonderful. But if you're the person that just sees that and that, you know, yours is much more scaled back. I feel like you could be disappointed, and no one wants to feel that. So, I don't know. I mean, all that's required is just the stitch piece. There is no requirements for extras whatsoever. So, I mean, I really loved what I got, but, I mean, even the book sleeve was kind of a bit much, considering this. But, just, I don't want people to have to feel bad because maybe their package wasn't as stuffed full. But there was one package I remember for sure. It was a box, and when you opened the box, there were probably at least 6, maybe more like 10 mini pillows in it. It's just a little much. Great for the person that received it, but it could make other people feel bad. And I would just want to caution you to think about that the requirements are 1 stitched piece, no extras are required, and you just need to make sure that the outside packaging reflects what's in it, so people, like if you don't care about Christmas, you're not going to grab a Christmas piece, that sort of thing. Other than that, that's it. So if you're going to put extras in there, I would just try to limit yourself, especially try to limit yourself monetarily, because some people, you know, just attending Stitchcon or any other convention where you're doing one of these stitch swaps is already a big investment, especially when you do like the hotel, the airfare, or gas to drive. And participating in the smalls, like they don't have a lot of extra to just, you know, they don't know what to put in there either. Because I know that was, for me last year, that was sort of terrifying. I'd never been to a retreat, so I really didn't know what to expect to put in my package, and I didn't have a lot of extras in mind. So I was seeing all of these where they had just oodles and oodles of extras, and I felt bad. I was like, I'm so sorry, I didn't include all these things. I had no idea I was supposed to. But you shouldn't have to feel that way. You shouldn't have to feel like it was a requirement when it wasn't. So just think about it. Just be conscious. If you're going to include these extras, try to be mindful. Try not to go too overboard. I think, let's see. I still have haul, and I still want to talk about my Stitchcon experience in general. And I also have just a few announcements and like other little plans that I'll do that first. So first off, something that has been really killing me lately is the cross stitch calendar on Instagram. Erin and Amity of the Hathaway Stitchers and Alex of Salix Stitches are running a Instagram account called the Cross Stitch Calendar, where they post hashtags and what they mean, what the stitch along is for each of them, when they hear about it or when someone tells them, hey, I'm doing this, can you post it? And it's just a one-stop shop for you to go and look at projects that maybe you have, maybe you want to start, maybe you're just looking to get enabled, which is my problem. And you know, just check out the stitch alongs that are going on. Next we have the if anyone is attending the virtual Black Needle Society Frogwarts Year 5 retreat, I will be participating in that. Let me know if you're going to be in any of the stitching rooms. Message me on Instagram which stitching room you're in, if you're in one. I get a lot of social anxiety when it comes to just popping in one and being like, hi, how are ya? So, but if I know someone in there, or, you know, I feel invited, I don't know. But yeah, I have participated in years 3 and 4, but I've not participated that much in the stitching rooms. So let me know if you're going to be attending and what room you're in if you're in one. But yeah, I'll see you there. Lindy Stitches just announced Midsummer Stitch that they are hosting. That is $8. You can buy tickets now. The cost, like, this is a shopping free experience. It's similar to the Jingle Ball other than that. It's on that same platform that they used for the Jingle Ball last year. So there's going to be, it's just the social parts of the Jingle Ball. And so your ticket price covers the cost of the people's help who run the like the help chat and support. That's what it is. Like your support people, and just the cost of the platform fees and stuff. So that is July 19th and 20th. If anyone is interested in that, there's a lot more information, and you can also check out the link to buy tickets on, I believe it's already on Lindy Stitch's website, but I know she posted it in her Facebook group and on her Instagram. I was enabled to go to Stitch North this fall, the one that is in October, that is October 25th through the 27th. That is in Toronto. I believe there are tickets still available because obviously I just bought mine recently. If anyone else is going to that, please let me know. I know there's Michaela of Cinematic Stitches is going, Hillary of Subpar Stitches, myself, Tara of Wilder Woman Crafts, Erin and Amity of the Hathaway Stitchers, and I'm sure more that I don't know about. But if you're going, let me know. I would love to meet up. I believe it is a slightly smaller experience than Stitchcon. Stitchcon's 300 people per weekend, and I think this is capped at 250. But still a lot of people who I can meet and make new friends. So let me know if you're going. Go ahead and, if you are interested in going, you can buy tickets on the Evertote website. Hotel rooms were also still available because I booked mine at the hotel that this is at, so those are also still available. Mark your calendars for the Jingle Ball. That is going to be the first weekend in December. That is also hosted by Lindy Stitches. There will be more information to come. Right now, she's just released mark your calendars for this date. Nothing else has come out yet, but that was a blast last year. The exclusive patterns are always super exciting. The list of designers, I believe there's a few new ones, but a lot of the same ones as last. I believe that there are some new ones, but it has a lot of the same designers as last time. If you enjoyed them, a lot of them will be back. But that list is already released, and that is on Lindy Stitch's Instagram. Last, I believe, sort of announcement or events, Fandom Stitching Central, if you participate in that Facebook group, is hosting a virtual retreat that is free just to participate. It is going to be hosted on Discord, which is why, you know, there's no fees for that. It is free. You also have the option to purchase like a pattern PDF pack of the designer's exclusive patterns, or you can also do a goodie bag which has all of those patterns plus a lot of extras. That's going to be January 1st through the 5th of 2025, and you can sign up via a Google form, and that is listed in the Facebook group. If you're also unfamiliar, Fandom Stitching Central is a themed, fandom-based stitching, I would say sort of a game, but you're put onto a team, which you don't have to be. You can also participate without the team. But you earn points for your team by completing stitching challenges that are prompt-based. So if you're someone who is looking to pull out some whips to meet a prompt to, just get some work on a project that you probably wouldn't pull out otherwise, that's your place to go. It really worked for me up until I started really participating in all of these like hashtag stitch-alongs. And so that's taken over. But I do still participate some in that as well. So announcements aside, let's go ahead and do a quick Stitchcon experience breakdown. I had such a blast. Again, I went to Stitchcon Weekend A. This year I went to Stitchcon Weekend B last year. And I mean, both weekends are extraordinary. Weekend A worked out better for me this year. So that's the one that I went to, and yeah, it was just such a blast. My table mates were Erin she's the hiking stitcher here on YouTube now. She got enabled into starting a Flosstube, but she's also walking in stitches on Instagram. Jessie of Jessie Marie Does Stuff. There are no words. I was a little intimidated at first, but she is such a wonderful human. So, Tara of Wilda Woman Crafts, Milka of Mega Stitches, myself, and Amy, who runs Elkhorn Labs, which is an Etsy shop, but she does not have a Flosstube. Yeah. We learned so much about each other. We have become very good friends. It was, I don't know how to describe it. Like, it was just, the best thing about going to any of these retreats is, you've got something in common. You are not going to come to a cross-stitch retreat if you don't, at the very least, like cross-stitch. So, you've got something to talk about, and most of us who are going to go to a convention are kind of obsessed with cross-stitch, so you've got a lot to talk about right off the bat. And then, of course, you usually have other things in common as well that you find out when you're chatting. So just, it's so nice to talk to people who get it. And I did have that same experience last year. I did make friends last year. It's just fabulous. I feel like this year, though, I was more involved. This year was different because I did have a Flosstube channel. I do feel like a few people recognized me, and I recognized a lot more people than I did last year as well. Because I've been watching more Flosstube too, so I just recognize more people. I still am not really the type to super put myself out there, so I was not walking around tables and meeting people and saying hi to some of these people. I might have recognized them, but I probably did not come up to you unprovoked. I'm pretty introverted, so the whole Stitchcon weekend was very exhausting. I put myself out there more than I expected, though, and definitely more than I did last year, and it definitely paid off. I think that you get what you put into it, get out of it what you put into it, so because I put myself out there more, I feel like I did meet and make more friends than I did last year. But it is exhausting. So I live about 40 minutes away from where Stitchcon is hosted at the Sharonville Convention Center, and I just couldn't justify the cost of staying there when I live so close. I did the same thing last year. I commuted every day. It's actually a shorter commute than my work commute is. Don't get me started. So it's not that big of a deal. But it did mean that I didn't participate much in the late night stitching rooms because I didn't want to get so exhausted to the point where I was concerned about driving home. So I just played it safe. I didn't stay very long. If I even did go, I think I only really went one night. And I feel like I missed out on so much. The late night stitching rooms are so much smaller. A lot of people, especially your older people, do go home or back to their rooms and whatnot. So I just feel like it's a totally different vibe. And so yeah, I'm fairly confident that next year I'm going to get a room. I'm not going to commute. I'm going to go ahead and get a room, and that way I can just go upstairs and pass out. I don't have to worry about getting home safe. So I can participate in the late night rooms and be just as delirious from lack of sleep as the rest of you guys. So yeah, my table mates were amazing. I also got to meet in person some of the people that, I didn't sit with, but I also had been watching for a while and really enjoy watching. So Michaela of Cinematic Stitches, Hillary Subpar Stitches, Erin and Amity of the Hathaway Stitchers, Hannah Stitching, and also she's the MN Stitcher on Instagram. Britches Get Stitches, Tasha. Those were probably the big ones that I spent the majority of my time with outside of my table mates. We also sat near the freebie table this year. I knew from last year that, especially I'm rather large, and they are really, you've got plenty of room, but when everybody gets all of their crap spread out and, they're in the zone stitching, especially because you're sitting in there all day. A lot of people bring, not a lot, but quite a few people bring camp chairs. People have their Lowry stands, people have their lighting situations, and you've got 300 people in this ballroom. So it can be a little tricky to navigate between tables if you're at a middle table. So I knew right off the bat that I really would rather sit at a table along the outskirts. And I also knew that we could have the option of, we met, Tara and I went to dinner with Erin and Jesse the night before, so we knew that we were going to sit together, and we went ahead and had Miss Early Bird, Erin, and Jesse too got up pretty early, and they went and snagged us a table early. So we knew that that was the situation that we were going into. So I was like, okay, well, why don't you just pick one by the freebie table? My only real requirement was, please, let's sit around the edges so that it's easier to get to them from your table. But if we're going to have, prime pickings, pick one by the freebie table. Because people are constantly bringing stuff. Some of your local people may not bring it at all the first day because they're bringing, the rest of their setup. That's what I did last year, too. You've got so much crap that you're bringing because you're local. Like my Lowry stand, I brought my whole freaking DMC set. So, my master set of DMC, just in the bottom boxes. Because I can. And but I didn't bring it all the first day because I knew I was going home, and I'm just bringing it back the next day. So, long story short, people are constantly like bringing and putting new things out. It doesn't just, it's not all a big pile the first day and it's all picked over by the end. It is every day there's some new stuff. So we did get a table next to the freebie table. So when people would come and drop off stuff, we would let them drop it off, let them leave, and then be like, all right, let's go. So then we would just go see what they dropped off. So I do have my freebie table charts. I did not get that many, but I do feel like I got some gems. Let's see. Yeah, so I wanted to share those because oh my gosh, some of them are so good. This is the one I think I'm the most excited for. This is Happy Birthday to You by Twin Peak Primitives. Those are chickens having a birthday party. I love it. I can't get over it. It's hilarious. My husband thought I was nuts when I came home and was so excited to show him this. And he was like, why? And I'm like, 'cause it's hilarious. Yeah. I got this Mama Witch cross-stitch pattern called My Guilty Pleasure. I did not even know that she made paper patterns. I have always bought her patterns digitally. But that is a raccoon looking like he is having some tea. Oh, and he's got all these cross stitches up on his walls. Oh, so cute. I love her patterns. This was an entire kit called Christmas Fawn by Satsuma Street. Yeah, full kit. Got this pattern by Hands On Design, and this is the this is like the cardstock purchased version, but it looks like they just put it into a binder cover to protect it. Let It Snow Bungalow. This is one of the Chalk for the Home series. This is Winter Welcome by Satsuma Street. And then lastly, this is also this is several patterns in one. So the first one, so this is a 3-part set from Bent Creek called The Greenhouse No Place Like Home. This is the first one, and those 2 blocks that are missing, I have the other 2 patterns for here. But it's a gnome house, and this bottom one there's bunnies and gnomes watching TV. One of the gnome ladies is knitting, and it's Gnome and Garden TV. I don't know if you can see that, but Gnome and Garden TV. This is freaking hilarious. Let's see if you can see it better without the glare. Yeah, I think it's better. This is so cute. And then, let me take these 2 out. There was 2 more rooms. One of them was a little kitchen, and it's called Dinner's Ready. So you've got a bunny sitting at the table, and look at that little mouse or rat down below. And then the third one is called the Potting Room. And yeah, look at the little gnome climbing the potted plant. Yeah. So exciting. It also included, there were some beads, buttons, whatever. So yeah, those were my freebies. I had never seen this gnome set before, and yeah, just we found some good stuff. That was so much fun. It's always cool seeing, like, a lot of people, I think, get rid of patterns that they've already done, and so they're just done with them. And then some, you know, you get at estate sales or something, and you know you're probably never going to stitch it, but you don't want to pass it up because it's cross-stitch stuff. Someone, like, you know, maybe your grandma died and gave you her stash, and you're not going to stitch all of it in your lifetime, so a million different reasons that people get stuff and put them on the freebie table, but it's so much fun to go through. As far as purchases at Stitchcon, like I said, I stay pretty good. I purchased the digital charts for Beach Rat by the Artsy Housewife and Pray For Me I'm Bitter by Lucy Beam. They had the models there, but I just prefer the digital patterns. And then I bought 2 paper patterns. This is the Stitchcon exclusive for this year, Come to the Garden by Sue Hillis. She does, she also did the one for last year, which I have as well. I don't know if I'm ever going to stitch it. Honestly, this is not super my style, but they did announce that Sue of Sue Hillis Designs has Alzheimer's disease. My grandfather, who raised me, he's also my dad, died a couple years ago of Alzheimer's. Well, complications relating to Alzheimer's. So I, of course, had to get this, and now I need to put a little more focus. I have a few other things by Sue Ellis that now I need to do, just for my own personal sentiments. And then I also purchased this, which is the Nutcracker by Twin Peak Primitives. I would have loved to have gotten this as a PDF, because this is like a booklet, and I'm pretty much going to have to tear this booklet apart to try to scan it in if I go that route. My other route, which is probably more what I'm leaning towards, is recharting it myself, and because I also plan on making modifications. I only really want to do this bottom portion here. They had the model there, and it's while you're waiting in line for the checkout, so you get to stare at it for a while. And this Mouse King and Nutcracker fight, it looks so good. But I don't really care about all the floating motifs around the top, so I really think I'm going to cut all of that off. But I think I'm going to take Clara and replace some of these motifs. So I think I'm going to move, I'm going to get rid of these 2 Nutcrackers. I'm going to keep the clock. I'm going to keep Drosselmeyer, but I'm going to move him to be beside the clock. And then I'm going to put Clara with the Nutcracker in her arms here on this side instead of those 2. So because of all my modifications, I think it'd probably be easier to just rechart it. Which is what I like. If you are ever wondering why I have such good stitch count stats and stuff for patterns when I have the paper pattern, that's why, because I've recharted it and I'm actually working from that. So I can use Pattern Keeper. Lastly, I bought 2 needleminders. One you already saw. Needleminders and pins, but 2 needleminders from Rebel Stitcher. One you already saw was the Mothman that says spread your wings, and I also got this jackalope that says don't mistake kindness for weakness. Jackalopes are probably my favorite cryptid. I don't know why. I love jackalopes. And then pins. I got they had puntini pins and buttons. I got this one button pack. I've never really used buttons on my cross stitch, but I have used pins on some of my little mini pillows to stick in those. But they're just so precious. And I love the, like, just how they look. So this one is spring themed, but what really sold me on it, the bunny, but also the sheep, the bunny and the sheep. Then I got this small pack because of that squirrel. So good. And then lastly, and probably my favorite, this fall themed pack. There's a snail. Look at that snail. There's also an owl and a hedgehog, some mushrooms. So good. That was where most of my money went for the shopping because these are not cheap. They are handmade clay pins, but oh, they're just so good. That's it for Stitchcon haul, but I do want to do my fabrics of the months. I received, I had not received my BeStitchMe fabric of the month when I saw you last time, so that is this one. So this is, what is it, June or May? This is May's, and it's called Gray Magic. I get the 32 count linen, so that's BeStitchMe. And then I also got my June from BeStitchMe, which is called Aquarius. I've been getting blues lately and I really like it. Because April's was this April showers. Yeah. So Aquarius. This is like a, it's more of a muted grayish blue. I really like that. I think it'll be good for lots of different projects. Especially like wintry projects. I could see that being really good for winter. And then lastly, I got my June Fiberlicious, which is called Rose Taupe. And I'm in the 18 count Aida for Fiberlicious. So, Rose Taupe. I forgot to mention this. Oh my gosh. I got the Q-Snap corner clamp for my Lowry stand. I love my Lowry stand. It normally comes with a side clamp, which clamps on like on this side here. Well, whatever side, but it clamps on the side. But for Q-Snaps, if you've got like a really long or a really heavy Q-Snap, it'll just sort of fall over, or it'll slip out of the clamp because it's just so heavy and all the weight's pulling it away from it. So I invested in the corner clamp, and you would not believe the difference in stability that this has. It has helped so much, and since I do most of my larger projects, I do put into Q-Snaps, so I generally have these big honking Q-Snaps that this has been such a lifesaver. The problem is that a Q-Snap, a Lowry stand itself is like around $200. And that includes the side clamp head. Just this piece here, just this head, is like a little over $100. I think. I'm fairly confident. And it's an investment. So I was really hesitant for a long time. But I had multiple people at Stitchcon tell me that it's worth it. So I agreed. I went ahead and got it, and I am fully in their camp as well. So I did want to mention that I highly recommend this. But that's it. So yeah, that's it for haul. I think I have discussed everything as far as stitching goes. The last thing I want to talk about are books. I've got 4. Only one's Tamara Pierce, and I'll keep that pretty quick, just in case that you were worried. But before I let you go, I just want to say thank you so much. If I met you at Stitchcon and didn't mention you here, I'm sorry. I may not know your name. I'm really bad with names. But I appreciated every single person that I talked to that just spread the kindness and joy and excitement that was so overwhelming at Stitchcon. It's just beautiful to be in the presence of so many people that feel like understand you, at least on some level. They understand your obsession with this hobby. So yeah, I really appreciate it, and I also really appreciate anyone who actually takes the time to watch these crazy ramblings of mine. It means so much to me. So please leave me a comment. Tell me anything that you want to tell me. Anything about what you're working on, what I'm working on, some of these announcements or plans, things that I'm participating in that maybe you are as well. Let me know. It means the world to me. I'm always just super excited when I get any sort of comment or interaction. Makes me so happy. And now let's go into books. Like I said, they are just 4 that I thought were worth talking about. First, we have Tehanu by Ursula K. Le Guin. I have been reading the Earth-Sea Cycle by Le Guin for a while now. The Tombs of Atuan, which is, I believe, the second book in the Earth-Sea Cycle, is one of my favorite books. But honestly, I don't know why. I don't know why I love it so much, but I have loved it since I was like 13, 14. Every time I read it, I just blow right through it. It's so engrossing. But the rest of the series, I don't know. I feel like the stories themselves are not what makes them so good. If you're looking for like a huge epic adventure, the whole Earth-Sea Cycle as a whole is going to give you that, but each individual piece, usually not. And that's how this one was. But they make you think, and that's, I believe that's why they're classics, because of the emotions you feel, the emotions that the characters feel that you learn and grow with. They are really good, but they're not something that I can just read the whole series back to back to back. Like, I've got to take some time to digest in between each one. And each one of them is also so different. They're not... I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. But anyway, Tehanu, if you are familiar with Ursula K. Le Guin's books at all, they are set in a fantastic world with wizards, mages, magic, dragons, even though a lot of people don't believe that dragons still exist in their world. They think they're just myths. That sort of thing. That's the universe you're in. The main character you are following, his name is, well, he goes by Sparrowhawk. You have seen him as a boy growing as a very powerful wizard, to being like cocky and arrogant because of that power that he knows he has. You see him just about die. In numerous situations, he gets knocked down quite a few pegs. He gains some humility, some wiseness, wisdom. There we go, wiseness, wisdom. He becomes the archmage of, like, the leader of the wizards in this world. And then he loses his magic entirely, which is what happened at the end of the previous book before this one happened. So in this one, previously he's been a hero. He has done all these amazing things. Everyone respects him, looks up to him. And now the reason why he feels like they looked up to him and respected him is taken away. So in this book, he's not a hero at all. He's trying to figure out who he is now as a person, and not just as a powerful wizard, if that makes sense. So, like, not just one aspect of him, like the entirety of him, he's trying to now understand without that piece that's been a part of him for so long. And then it's also about the girl that escapes at the end of the Tombs of Atuan. So she is a foreigner to the lands that he brings her back to help her escape. And she is now an older woman. She's probably in like her 40s or something like that. She has grown children. She's a widow. She had what she expected a typical life to be, of just, marriage, motherhood, and now she's a widow. And so all of that's in the past, and now they're meeting again with her. She now has the wisdom that comes with age and life experience. Now he is the one that is sort of childlike and discovering himself, which is the opposite of when they met in the Tombs of Atuan. So there's a lot of character development in this one, but as far as, like I said, the story arc itself is a little, not a lot happens, to be honest. Like, as far as like action adventure, no, not really. It's set in a fantasy world, and some of these things do happen, but a lot of it's off page. But you're growing with the characters. You're in their heads as they think, and it does raise some really powerful questions. The biggest one in this one is, why are men afraid of women? Why do they try to subjugate women and make them feel powerless to make themselves feel better? Which is a great question. And of course, this was written, it is a product of its time, so there's really not, and it's pretty black and white as far as genders go, but I do still think that the question is valid, and you can even think of it more as, why does humanity as a whole, people, why do we tend to subjugate and put down and step on something that's different, that scares us, to make ourselves feel better? And that's just a humanity in general question that applies to everything different. That just because maybe your culture doesn't understand something in another culture, you immediately like abhor it, and you don't even think of it as fear so much. Like it's a subconscious fear of the unknown and the different. But at your conscious level, you're more of like disgust or anger or all these other emotions. I don't know, like it raises some good questions. It makes you really think. There's a reason why she is a classic author. It's worth a read, but it does take some time, and I will warn you that there is non-graphic or anything like that, but there is mention of rape in this. Next, completely different, we have Ghost Station by S.A. Barnes. This is a space sci-fi novel that's horror genre. I would not say it is the most original thing I've ever read, but I do feel like it was very good. It was very fun. There was, a couple twists I did not expect. I really appreciated that they didn't just throw in some romance for the sake of it, which I feel like can sometimes happen in some of these genres that, they're not the most popular genres out there. Like, I don't feel like some space horror is something that everybody's reading. So, I don't know. Like, I feel like sometimes they just fall into these tropes or throw stuff in there that just, I don't know, feel like they're trying to get people to read it. So I'm appreciative that they didn't just try to write in some romance for the sake of it. There was some really good psychological discussions. I really enjoyed that. But the main premise of this book is your main character is I believe she's a psychologist or a psychiatrist, some sort of mental doctor in some regards. And she is a specialist in a disease, like a mental disease that comes from spending too much time in space, because it just messes with your circadian rhythm, which is completely believable. So she's a specialist in that. She's got a lot of secrets of her own. She gets added to a exploratory voyage with this team that has just lost one of their members under suspicious circumstances that was ruled a suicide. She's there to help them move past this and make sure that they're not suffering any ill effects and potentially get this crazy space disease. So, shenanigans ensue, as expected. For the majority of this novel, it was entirely psychological, and it was really good. Like, you were questioning everything because she's questioning everything. She's not sure what's real and what's not because she thinks she's losing her grip on what is real. It's really good. I do feel like the ending was a little bit rushed, and I wished that there were a couple more things explained. Just maybe another page or two could have went so far, but still, I believe I gave this 4.5 stars. It was a really fun, quick read, outside of my usual, and it's good to branch out, so enjoyed that. Next is These Fleeting Shadows by Kate Alice Marshall. This is also in the horror genre. I'm not even sure how else you would classify it. Maybe mystery. I don't know. I mean, yeah, probably like mystery horror. This is this was very interesting. This is definitely not what I expected. The ending was definitely not what I expected. This is about a teenage girl. I think she's like 18 or something. And she has been living with her mother and stepfather because essentially they were disowned from the rest of her rich, weird, like her mother's rich, weird family. But her grandfather dies and they go back to this house for his funeral. And they learn that in his will, he has stated that if she does not come back and become the mistress of this house, that he was the previous master of the house. So essentially, like, become the head of the family. Then the house would be sold, all of the inheritance of everything that the family has will be distributed amongst charities because it's in a trust. So everyone in the family, including her own mother, would lose all of their inheritance and get nothing if she doesn't become the head of the family. So she accepts because she has always felt different. She's always felt weird. People look at her funny. Weird things happen. She feels so bad for her mother because she feels like she's a burden on her mother. So she doesn't want her, for her to lose everything. And again, shenanigans ensue because it is a horror novel. So she's trying to figure out the mystery of this house because she has already gathered that this family's full of secrets, that the only way that she is going to make it to the end of her 1-year tenure as it's sort of like a trial. She accepts and becomes the head of the family. She has to not leave the house for an entire year, and at the end of that year, she is ritually invested, as you are now, 100% head of the family. And she knows that to make it to that point, she needs to figure out what's going on. She knows there's weird things going on, there's weird things happening. They're not allowed to leave the house after dark. They're all locked in their rooms for their own safety. But somehow she keeps waking up covered in dirt outside in the middle of the night. The family members all seem to be hiding things. She's trying to figure it out. And then when she does figure it out, it's wild. It is a roller coaster. And then it just keeps going and roller coastering along. But it's good. It's good. It, again, was a fun, pretty fast read. It's worth your time, but it is a little weird. It is a little weird at the end. And it's certainly not what you would expect. So that was that. And then the last one is Battle Magic by Tamara Pierce. I could rave about Tamara Pierce forever. This one, though, is probably the most adult book by her that I've written. That I've read. So all of the others, honestly, would be sort of classified as what I would say young adult. The characters are younger. I feel like adults can get a lot out of these books as well, but they're written simple enough that, a younger audience is not going to have any trouble. It's going to be interesting, but I feel like a younger audience is only going to get the surface level. So I loved her books as a child. Now I'm rereading them. But this one, I'd never read this one before, and they're all adults at this point. They're all like 18, and This one specifically is about Briar. He grew up on the streets, was told that he had magic. He lived in a like a temple learning environment to learn to become a mage. He is a plant mage, and his teacher is like a great plant mage of the same type of magic. So previously he had decided to go off with her to see the world, to gain some experience, to learn new things, learn about new places, plants, and all this. Well, they are visiting a honestly, it's like a fantasy version of, I would say, the Chinese Empire. And they learn that he's getting ready to attack another smaller nation nearby that houses the head of the temple that his teacher is a dedicate of. So she tries to get him to go home, but she's like, look, I have to defend my faith, essentially. And this is not religious really in any way. It's just that's sort of the pretext to get this this whole thing started. But it is, that is a major part of who their teachers are in these books, is they are all dedicates of this temple faith, and that's why they do like a lot of acts of service for the poor, and other things that have been major thematic elements throughout these novels. But there's really not a lot of discussion on faith, religion, that sort of thing. But anyway, she's going to go back and she's going to help defend this small country against this giant empire, because she feels like she has to. And he's like, are you kidding me? I'm not leaving you. And his young student, who is just a child, she's not even 10 probably, they can't get her to leave either, because she was abandoned by her family, and so that she has severe abandonment issues, and they can't get rid of her either to go back to safety. So anyway, they're all involved in a war, and it's a lot. Like, I wouldn't say there's a lot of anything graphic, but there is a lot of talk of death, destruction, and how awful war is, and as far as how devastating it is for people, for the land, for everything. It was so good. It was so good, but it was very deep. I had read something that said, this is not the chronological order. This is the third of the set of books that features them as like 18-year-olds. But it is chronologically the first. So I had read that it helps the other books make sense if you read that one first. And so I did, and I'm currently probably like 85% done with the next book, which was the first published one. And it definitely helped me make a lot more sense, because I think it'd be fine either way, but you do have a little more background knowledge, and that is nice. That's it. There's not a lot to say more about Tamara Pierce books, because they're just so good. I'm just giving you a basic synopsis, I guess. But again, I think it's going to be probably about a month. I'm going to be traveling for work. I've got 3 back-to-back work trips. I've got the Frogger's Retreat. I am doing Summer Stitch at Keepsakes. I'm doing the second one. There's 2 weekends, and I'm doing the second one. I think that's it. Again, if you're going to be doing any of these things that I'd mentioned, I would love to know about it. I'd love to chat with you. Leave me a comment. Tell me what you're working on. I'll see you next time. Bye.